Good morning, everyone, and thank you guys so much for joining the stream today. It's Tom's birthday, and the market's looking pretty good. Yesterday was just a brutal day for so many stocks, but today it's looking a little bit better. We have good old DraftKings up a little bit in pre-market, which, we'll take it. We're hoping for a lot more, but Beyond Meat's doing very well. They had some good news release with McDonald's. There's no signed huge deal this morning, but they're expanding their testing of the McPlant burger, so that's always good to see. And besides that, stocks are looking pretty decent this morning. And Tom, I'll have to say, the one stock slash ETF, yep, you beat me to it, Tom, is BABA and Queb.
Yeah, these two are really running up, Mike. I cannot believe that BABA gapped up 6% after the pretty bad week it's been having. Honestly, it's just been moving lower and lower ever since last week. And I'm really happy to see that it turned around like this, especially on my birthday. I can't ask for a better present than BABA to honestly break out. If they can get up above 140, I'd be pretty happy today. And then also DWAC's on the turnaround. Pretty hyped up stock from the past few days. I'm glad to see them hold their ground and come back. And then a lot of these growth stocks are up, like ChargePoint, Run, Fastly. It looks like Blink's even in the green, NIO. So it's great to see these stocks kind of running up today.
No doubt. So yeah, that's awesome. Looking at a couple other plays, I have to say, we're even seeing some decent movement from Run and Enphase too. These two solar companies, it's just been brutal for months with these ones. So we're having a decent day, Tom. I just hope that we can actually hold the ground with a lot of these plays. Because, yeah, we see a couple green days here and there with BABA or Run or whatever. But over the past couple months, they can't hold those levels. You know what I mean? So I'm really, really hoping that that we can just hold this movement. We don't need a 20% up month. But please, let's just hold this ground.
Yeah, exactly. If we could just hold somewhere down here and maybe form a good support, maybe a good double bottom or something like that, it would be amazing. Recently, some of these stocks have been falling through support. RUN over the past couple days started breaking below $30. If we go look at stocks like Zoom, they've been continually falling below that 175 support also. And I just cannot wait for them to finally form a good bottom level and then start to get some good movement to the upside. It seemed like even while they were consolidating around 175 with Zoom, they just weren't going anywhere. They were staying between 200 and 175, not really doing anything. And I just cannot wait until we finally start seeing some good momentum, some nice breakouts, and it might take the yields, kind of going crazy. We can see the TNX is kind of back up again today a little bit so far. And it's just a kind of a crazy time right now with all the rates, inflation, and everything like that affecting these valuations.
For sure. All right, Tom. Well, Queb is still going. I think we really have to keep this one on our radar. Queb is the China ETF for all of you who don't know. So basically, when you look at Queb, you can look at BABA, Baidu, maybe TCEHY, which is Tencent, but it's running up after months of destruction. And, this ETF, it's a mover. I'll definitely say that. It likes to move in some pretty big ways, and it's up 7% already. The market's been open for less than 3 minutes. So, Tom, let's really keep an eye on this one today.
Yeah, definitely. It's moving up in a big way. It looks like it's honestly getting up near some highs of last week, right around this $40 support. We might want to go ahead and throw a key level up there, maybe even create a little bit of an alert here just so it pops up whenever we do finally get there. Yeah, we'll just put it at or above 40. So we'll create that. And yeah, if we do hit there, that'll make for an awesome breakout, hopefully.
Sounds good to me. Alrighty. So, yeah, Tom, would you say so far it's a good start to your birthday?
Oh, yeah, man, this is a really good start. I cannot believe it. Almost my whole watch list is in the green. A few stocks are red, like AMD, Oxy, Ford. Stocks like that are kind of going red. Even the oil stocks, but looking at it to the bright side, man, we have a lot of stocks in the green today. Even airlines are coming back a little, which I really like. We can see LUV is popping back up. I wonder how the cruise lines are doing. It looks like Carnival is also coming back, which is great to see. I know these stocks have been beaten down, and even Disney, Mike, is in the green. Disney's honestly forming a really good support here around $150. They've been bouncing here all week.
There we go. Love to see it. So, I mean, we're even seeing some of these companies like AI up nearly 3% today. Like, how about we get like a breakout with this one? Like, what levels do we need to break for this one to like have some like good movement?
Yeah, this stock has been honestly hitting off of, it looks like $28 over the past few trading days. I know yesterday it was getting kind of towards like 27.50 at the high of day before dropping down. Looks like we just passed above that. So now I'm going to be watching for $28. If we break 28, I think we could see a pretty good breakout, at least up towards 28.70 or $29. I think that would make for a pretty good intraday move today. If we did get that break above 28, this stock might end up going up maybe 5, maybe 6%, but keep in mind it probably might not have too much more movement. It's already up 2.8%, but I'm honestly really waiting that break of $28. And like you said, AI is running. We have stocks like Zoom kind of with that same formation. Zoom actually has a huge resistance up here right around 163.
Interesting. Zoom is a great setup in my opinion for a long-term play and even for a short-term play. The only problem I have with this one is the expensive options. Like IV is like kind of high. The options are a little bit expensive. So, with everything being said, like I feel like grabbing shares at like 161, I feel like it's hard to go wrong with it. Of course, it doesn't mean it's the bottom, but it's like the company is printing money, like just fundamentally. And I don't know, Tom. Like especially at this level, it's hard to get this type of deal in my opinion.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's so low right now, guys. Like, honestly, I was expecting Zoom to hold up around $200. We ended up falling below that. You're getting it at a huge discount down here. We got pretty close to 150. We're now sitting around 161, which is not too far off. And, let's just say that Zoom, let's just say it doesn't go back up to all-time highs, but let's just say that it even goes back up and retests this $300 resistance. If this happens over the next maybe year, maybe few months, you're looking at a nice 80% pop here out of Zoom. I mean, I know the chart doesn't look too good, but man, if we could just retest that simple resistance at 300, that would make for an amazing gain in the stock. And, it's probably not going to happen too fast, but for the longer term, I can really see this stock at least retesting 300. Even if like the company goes south still, I still think that just movement alone, we might see it pop back up a little.
Yep. All righty. So, looking at a couple different plays, Tom, we actually have a new leader on my watch list today, and that's Run. It's actually beating out Queb right now. Run is up 8%.
Yeah, this is insane. This one, Run is running. I mean, wow, look at this. It's really going up. I love these solar plays for the long term. I'm glad to see them up 7% like this. Looking at them on the max daily, they're another one that have just been getting beaten down and beaten down. Like I said, they fell below that $30 support a few days ago, and today they're actually right around that, trying to pop right back through. I really like the setup here, Mike, and I love the setup on all these growth stocks. It seems like if it's any of these solar plays, EV plays, or plays like that, it's doing pretty well today, and I'm glad to see it. And even the metaverse plays are doing well, like Roblox and Unity and stocks like that. So really good day overall. And you're right, this intraday movement on Run is starting to get crazy, and we're starting to break some pretty good resistances here, especially if we can break 30.
Sounds good. So I've been really eyeing up Roblox, Tom. I know that it had a ton of hype like earlier, or I guess you could just say like a couple months ago, and it was like just running in a very crazy way. It was at one point it was all the way up to $140. Right now it's at $79. But then we saw Nancy make some pretty bullish bets on Roblox that I believe her options expire on January. I want to say January of 2023, and I believe she has the 100 strike calls. I could be wrong though, but I'm pretty sure. But anyways, she's clearly bullish on it, right? So that's a good sign. The company Roblox is in an industry that's growing very rapidly, but the stock's been taking a pretty big hit lately. So like at this point, like I've been really eyeing up Roblox for shares, short puts, and things like that. I do think it's in a pretty awesome short put, I guess you can say setup. Now, the only thing is, like, you need, like, a minimum, I guess you could say balance of, I guess you could say, like, just under $8,000 to short a put on this one. But either way, like, you get some pretty good premiums because let's say you're bullish on this company, and let's say you shorted the 75 strike put for Roblox. Right now it's at 79. If you shorted the 75 strike put, you would get paid almost $600.
Wow, that's actually quite a bit, Mike. And I think the setup here is pretty good too. And that those premiums are making it pretty enticing to go ahead and get in this one. And if Nancy Pelosi's in, that's always a pretty good sign too. Like we've pointed out, or like you pointed out in that one video, Mike, that was really interesting to see how successful she truly is when she trades the market. And it's just crazy to see how her accuracy has been pretty much spot on. And I feel like that maybe she knows something with the metaverse is coming up or something like that. And maybe that'll help these stocks go up. And I think it will. She's bullish on them and she has a lot of time. So I think getting shares and shorting puts will be awesome here, especially with those premiums being so high. Like Mike, with those premiums being so high, if you short the 75 strike, even if you do get assigned, I mean, your cost basis is going to be pretty low.
Oh yeah, I mean it'll be like $68 to $69, and that's pretty dang good. So good stuff there, Tom. We have a bunch of birthday wishes for you in the chat. So I hope this movement can continue, so you could have a great day.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it's been a great day so far. Getting a lot of love in the chat and seeing all the stocks doing well. I'm really glad to see them turning around. I really like the setup on some of these, Mike, like Roblox. Lucid's another one. I know Lucid had been running earlier yesterday, and looks like they might try to break out above that high of yesterday here sometime pretty soon, and I hope they do. This has been another one of those hyped up stocks that has been running over the past few days, and yeah, it's a really great start to my birthday, and I really hope it keeps going like this, man. I might go out to a really nice dinner tonight at this rate.
Tom, I mean, we've only been waiting for months to see like a decent green day out of all of these growth stocks. Like a lot of times when these growth stocks would pop up, like recently, like maybe they pop up 2% or a couple percent. But I mean, Tom, we've only been waiting for months. I mean, we have AI up 4%, Neo up 5%, Run up almost 8%, DraftKings in the green by 3%, Palantir up 3%, Corsair up 3%. So I love to see this movement. Zoom's even up. So there we go. We have George mentioning Teladoc. He said, Teladoc, I'm squinting at you after yesterday. Yeah, Teladoc's been a wild one too. It has been all over the place. It is up just under 6%. Like I said, it's at a good level. Another thing to keep in mind with this one, Tom, is the potential short put opportunity. Right now, it would cost around like $8,000 in margin. But if you shorted, let's say, the at the money put, which is the 80 strike, you'd still pick up around like $630, which isn't bad.
Yeah, that's actually not bad at all. Again, that'll make your cost basis go so low, even if you do get assigned on it. And, at this point, you might not even get assigned with the way the stock's moving. So I like the setup, Mike. I think it's really good for the long term, especially for people who want to get shares. Like if you want shares of something for the long term, there's so many good opportunities down here for shorting puts that you almost just can't go wrong with it. Like definitely check it out. I'll have to throw a link in the chat there pretty soon. But yeah, I mean, looking at this setup, Mike, I love it too. Teladoc's another one that recently fell through support like Zoom and the rest, and it's really roaring back.
There we go. All right, we have Iranical saying SMH falling too hard. SMH, let's take a look. SMH, yeah, it's taking a hit. It's technically in the green by like 9 cents, but it's definitely underperforming, which I guess we've been saying for a while, Tom. I mean, we've been relatively bearish on chip stocks in the short term. Like obviously we love them for the long term, but for the short term, I know we have been a little bearish for, I think it was since the middle of November, because I think it was like right around the middle of November or right around Thanksgiving or so is when I initially had the SMH put spread. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely taking a hit, and we can see like AMD's just bleeding lower.
Yeah, it really is. And to be honest, AMD is starting to break some pretty bad technicals here. They really broke a huge support a while ago when they fell below $130. That was not good to see. Looks like they might be breaking right below this low of last week here. Let's look at like the 180-day 4-hour chart. Looks like that low of last week is sitting there right around 125 even. To be honest, if AMD falls below 125, I could see this one starting to really sell off. And I hate to say that because I love AMD for the long term, but Just looking at it, they're right at this huge support. If they break this, they're definitely probably going to see a pretty big drop, and they're even falling below the 100 SMA now, which they haven't been below in a few months. So that's good to see that they're finally breaking that. And I feel like it's a pretty good put opportunity, guys. Like, to be honest, like AMD, Nvidia, Qualcomm, even all these stocks are pretty high, and they're starting to really break some pretty big supports and move down. And in some of the cases, like Qualcomm, look at this huge gap that we have to fill on the daily chart. A lot of these stocks have been falling down and filling these gaps lately. One of them is like Roblox. If we go look at Roblox, they recently just filled that huge gap. Nobody really ever thought that we would be all the way back down with them. And I could see it happening with some of these other ones as well.
True. Alrighty, so I'm just looking at a couple different movers right now for some potential call outs. But yeah, let me read through these comments really quickly. It looks like, yeah, lots of birthday comments. So thank you guys so much for joining, and thank you so much for all of the support. But yeah, I think we got all the comments, Tom. Let me just welcome everyone to the stream really quickly. Like I said, we really appreciate all of you guys joining. Welcome Jamie, Iranical, Keisha, Vicky, Hunter, Alex, George, Sal, Square, Milwaukee, Mike, the other Alex, and ARC. Thank you guys so much for joining. We really appreciate all of you. But Tom, what would you say like your I guess you could say your favorite mover from this morning?
My favorite mover,
and you can't say DraftKings.
I'm gonna go look at my watch list really fast. Yeah, DraftKings is off the table today, not allowed. I would say, my favorite one is probably gonna be NIO. I didn't think that NIO would be my favorite today, but to be honest, this one's moving up in a pretty good way. It got all the way back up to this $30 resistance. It's up 4.5%. It's not the leader on my watch list by any means, but it is having a really good day, and I'm glad to see them turning around, especially with the China stocks. Those China stocks have been getting destroyed. It's been kind of dampening NIO, I think, as well. And looking at NIO's daily chart, they've been like quadruple bottoming down here, to be honest. So I really like this setup.
Awesome. Welcome, Shelly, to the stream. Then we have ARC saying, asking about DGX, Tom, for a short play to the downside, and happy birthday, Tom. So DGX, let me take a look. DGX for short. They have earnings coming up pretty soon, so I would say no, mainly because of earnings coming up. Earnings are like always 50-50, so I would hate to get in like a short position now, and then let's say the stock blasts up through earnings and you're kind of screwed. So I guess we'll just like reevaluate it after earnings.
Yeah, I would say so as well. And I will say it has been getting beaten down quite a bit. It's right at a pretty big support, being right around $140. And also that IV starting to run, Mike. I think people might be expecting a bit of a recovery on this one. I'm not saying it's going to recover a ton, but I could see it maybe having like a couple green days after getting destroyed this much.
Gotcha. All right. And then we have Vicky asking for support and resistance on CrowdStrike and Microsoft.
Yeah, CrowdStrike is actually having a really good day on the daily chart. They're actually bouncing off a pretty big support here at $170. They've actually, this is going to be the third touch of 170 since they passed above it all the way back in 2020, it looks like. So that's really good to see it's bouncing off of this again. As far as intraday levels, I'm going to look at this 90-day, 15-minute chart. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing a bit of a intraday resistance here, right around 184 to 185. That'll be the main level I look at. We are actually breaking like right above the high of yesterday, so I would definitely look at like 184.
Sounds good. And then what do you have for Microsoft?
Microsoft, this one's been dipping down a lot actually too, bouncing right off of that like 302, right around that 300 support, to be honest. Microsoft's kind of in a very similar setup. They honestly need to break that high of yesterday though. With CrowdStrike's kind of breaking above the high of yesterday already. Microsoft is kind of approaching that. If Microsoft can break out above like 314, maybe 315, I could see them getting a pretty good move up to 320.
Sounds good. Alrighty. And then with the next comment, we have, give me 1 second, we have Alex asking about how SE is looking. So I know this one's been struggling a lot over like the past couple months, but like looking at it over the long term, it's been doing very, very, very well, Tom. Like since 2018, this stock went from $10 up to highs of 372.
Wow, look at this max weekly chart. This one is one of the better ones I've seen actually, Mike. Like this is a really nice move out of this one. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just it's crazy to see it right now, and as it's coming back down, like it's kind of starting to really form some good supports down here. It's having a nice explosive day today. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good for the long term too. You know, to be honest, I don't know too much about them, but I do know though that they've been a pretty hyped up stock, and they've been one of the big names. You know, we always get questions about them, and honestly, that movement from the past few years just shows how explosive that they have been, because that's a pretty crazy max weekly chart.
There we go. Yeah, I mean, they're like a pretty big like internet company with like especially with like Singapore. They have they're a pretty big company to say the least. And how about we take a look at their fundamentals really quickly? So if we look like over like the past couple of years, like we can just see here. I'll just give you a second. Anyways, we can see like over the past couple of years, SE's revenue has been exploding. Their free cash flow and operating cash flow had a huge turn since 2018. Their net income still is in the negative, but we can just see like how across the board, everything from their total assets are exploding to their revenues exploding. They're in a very, I guess you can say, explosive industry. The only downside is that they're still not profitable, but that's okay. Like if we look at like Tesla's really quickly, Tom, I think this is going to be a great example. So if we look at Tesla's data, we can see that their first profitable year was in 2020. But the problem is, like, if you wait until a company is profitable, it's like, yes, you're buying into a profitable company, but it's almost like you might, like, it's not that you're too late, it's just like you're paying a premium. So I overall, I think SE's fundamentals are looking pretty decent. We'll probably do a video sometime dedicated like specifically to SE, but it's great to see like how their fundamentals are just exploding.
Yeah, that really is nice to see, and their stock has been kind of moving up with that, which is great. I know this year's been a little bit different, but yeah, I mean, I think it's great to see, and like you said, they finally they're doing pretty well. It's a really nice thing, and to be honest, like SE's charts are just so nice, and looking at it like their movement overall, it's so good over the past 5 years. I know like a lot of people really get scared during some of these dips, Mike. Like if we look at this 6-month chart, you can see it's really, really dipping down in a major way. And I know that scares a lot of people. It's really hard to buy at the bottom, but I think it'll be a really good pickup. They've been a great company, lots of growth and stuff like that, which is great. Like I said, I've been following them on the charts for a long time. I just, never really got into what they did too much. Like you said, they're a bit of a, they really operate like in the foreign markets, I would say mostly. So it's more of like you said, an Asian deal.
Yep, no doubt. So looking at some other plays for today, Tom, Run is still going. Every time I check back in on Run on the charts, like it's up even more. Like intraday, it's on a pretty decent uptrend, but you kind of have to ask yourself like, when's the when's the max for the day? Like the stock's already up almost 9% on the day, and the market's been open for 12 minutes or 13 minutes. So it's like eventually it's gonna be like, all right, well, that's enough for the day.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, eventually this thing will slow down. Honestly, it's up quite a bit. I'm surprised it broke out above this 29.50 resistance, and I'm surprised it got above $30. Like, it has a lot of momentum. Sometimes these stocks do run up in major ways, and I will say RUN has a long way to recover, even just to get back from the start of this week. Like, they still have to go up to maybe $31.50, maybe $32 towards that close of Friday before we finally get back up there. And yeah, just they need a lot of good movement, and honestly, they're kind of back on the uptrend. Looks like they're starting to turn back around, and it's crazy to see up 9.2%. You're right, though. At some point, though, this one's going to have to slow down, along with some of the others. Like, man, Lucid's up 6% now. It's getting pretty hot as well. It might have like one more leg up on the breakout, but yeah, I wouldn't expect it to go up another like another 6% or anything. That would be kind of crazy.
Yeah, it would be crazy. And like talking about Run, I feel like, yes, it can go higher, but I feel like it's not worth the risk at this point. Like we both said, like it's up 9% today. It's up over 9%. The market basically just opened. And yeah, I mean, this stock, it's possible for it to go to like 32 by the end of the day. But is it worth the risk? At this point, probably not, because one, the stock's a little bit overextended, but then two, like the options are up almost 400% today, and they're not even that liquid anyways. So, it was a nice stock to watch, but after looking into it more, at this point, it's not worth the risk, in my opinion.
Yeah, and for me, like I might just even look at shares. Like honestly, like I think if you wanted to play this, maybe even just play it with shares. It's moving quite a bit. Even if it goes back down, you can just continue to hold those shares. You could maybe even sell some covered calls, some weekly covered calls there, and get into some pretty good deals. That IV starting to go up, and that might not be a bad play there, to be honest. And that might be the way I would play it, to be honest. Just grab some shares for the longer term and then start selling covered calls right away.
I agree with you, Tom. I feel like a lot of people are just overlooking shares right now because, our audience is mainly options traders, but I think it's like really important, like as an options trader, to realize or to know when the smarter move is to use shares. And in this environment, if you're playing a stock to the upside, it's probably the smarter move because a lot of options are overpriced right now. Like, Tom, if you're looking at almost any beaten down growth company, IV is pretty high, and it's just like it's not the time to be like buying options. Like shares would be better. Like of course there's gonna be a couple deals here and there, but I'm telling you, like shares are probably the way to go right now.
Yeah, they probably will be. It's going to be a really big recovery too. Like whenever these stocks start recovering, people will really I feel like that a lot of the newer traders, Mike, who are really into like day trading only and stuff like that, they're going to be pretty upset whenever they start to see some of these stocks start to recover over the next year, maybe 2 years. Obviously you can't get into everything. You're going to miss the boat on some stuff, but in the end, just a few of these stocks could go a long way. And I've seen it happen before, just like what we've seen with stocks like AMD, for example. Sure, AMD's been explosive this year, but man, look at them over the past few years. They went from like what was it, like $5 or $9 back in like 2017, all the way up to like 164 at the highs. Like, imagine getting in this one back then and holding it. Like, to be honest, I was in there and, I really wish I still had it, to be honest. But, this just goes to show, though, that some of these growth plays, if you hold them for the longer term, they can really work out. And even AMD in its growth phase was having a couple of shaky years there. For the whole year of 2017, just about, AMD just went flat. So overall, I mean, they can have some pretty bad years and then still recover up well.
Yeah. I mean, look at Tesla. Look at Tesla before before 2020 and before that, like it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and they had like 1 or 2 good years, and that just changed everything for them. Like I know a lot of the newer traders don't realize how like unpredictable Tesla was before the giant breakout. Like Tesla in, I guess you could say, from like 2017 to, I guess you can say like the beginning of 2020 was so unpredictable and risky, but now it's a completely different company. So I think it's important to realize that like different companies are obviously at different stages. Like Tesla is in a much different financial position compared to like DraftKings or Palantir or AI or anything like that. And it's important to realize that some stocks will naturally be a lot more volatile as they're in different like growth stages.
Yeah, definitely. And just like we can see in the past, Tesla fell by 50% in some cases. They fell from right here at highs of 76 all the way down to like $36. Definitely, like, they had some crazy moves there. A lot of articles were out saying Tesla was going to go bankrupt. Tesla is not profitable. Tesla will never get to profitability. Elon Musk is an idiot. I mean, honestly, I saw everything back then, and it really made me also look at some of these analysts and with a huge grain of salt. Like, man, like some of these analysts with some of the stuff that they were saying back then was kind of insane, to be honest. And I can't believe the growth that they ended up having after all that crazy movement. And yeah, it's a really good example to show how a lot of these growth stocks are kind of in this same phase now. Sure, they're not going to explode like Tesla did from $40 up to $1,000 a share, but still though, a lot of these companies can have some pretty good growth over the next few years. And even though they've been beaten down, it doesn't necessarily mean that they've that they're in a bad situation. Like, sure, DraftKings has been spending a lot of money, but what have they been spending it on? Marketing to go ahead and get more customers. Then they just legalized in New York, and this marketing might finally pay off for them.
Yeah, exactly. And then you mentioned something with analysts with like Tesla, right?
Yeah, the analysts are really, like the analysts back with Tesla a few years ago, they were really hitting it hard, like just like they are with DraftKings and everything else. We can see Tesla and on a split adjusted level fell from $75 down to like 35, and all these analysts were going crazy saying Tesla was going to go bankrupt. Elon Musk, is out of this world. He's crazy, and all this stuff like that. And then look at how it recovered within just like a year or two. It's kind of insane, actually.
Yep. The same guy who's shorting DraftKings said that Tesla is worth zero, and he was short Tesla too. He lost billions of dollars. His name was Jim Chanos. I believe he said that Tesla was worthless on December 14th of 2017, and then I believe he continued to believe that Tesla was worthless. But it's just to further illustrate a point that, when companies are in like early stages, it's a wild ride. Like obviously earnings reports will be very volatile, but then also another thing is you have analysts and like institutions constantly attacking you to get those wild swings in the market.
Yeah, exactly. Like whenever these guys come out with these big articles and then you see CNBC, Market Watch, Reuters even starting to throw these crazy, I will say the crazy analyst articles everywhere. It's insane to see how many people start really freaking out by it, because I feel like a lot of traders just follow like the news and what they're reading on these websites and stuff. And like if they read, that Tesla is having a bad year and that they could possibly go bankrupt, they're probably getting pretty freaked out. So I understand, lots of fear can come in, and it's really manipulative. You got to keep in mind that a lot of times the news is people trying to manipulate you. A lot of traders look at GameStop and AMC and then they scream manipulation, and then they sell out of DraftKings because some analyst, got pretty much gave them a bad rap. So, you have to kind of take everything you see with a grain of salt, and, just keep in mind a lot of times these news sites are trying to benefit themselves more than they are you.
Absolutely. And then we have Vicky saying in 2018, Elon Musk called Tim Cook at Apple to sell Tesla, and Tim Cook never returned the call. Yeah, I heard about that, and I think it's pretty funny how, Tesla, or not funny, but I think it's pretty inspiring how, Elon, through all of his obstacles, I guess you could say overcame all of that adversity, and Tesla kind of rivals Apple in certain ways. Like obviously Apple is a complete powerhouse and they're worth much more than Tesla, but still like nobody would have expected to see the growth out of Tesla that we saw over the past 2 years. No one could have expected that. And now Musk is worth a lot more than Tim Cook. So it's a crazy world, and it's definitely a very inspiring story with Tesla and everything. And then Tom has it pulled up. Now Tesla's even competing with Apple and with the phones.
Yeah, this is insane, guys. Tesla is, it's not for sure yet, but I've been seeing a lot of rumors lately that Tesla might be getting into the phone business. And I don't know, guys, look at this phone. It really rivals like the iPhone Pro series. Like this looks like an iPhone 13 Pro, iPhone 12 Pro. I think it looks pretty good, to be honest. I know it's just a rumor for now, but I'll be honest, this is a really big thing Tesla's doing if they do get into the phones. And let's look at it this way. They've been launching all these Starlink satellites and stuff like that. They're going to have a huge network to work with. So I don't know. It's just rumors for now, but you're right. That's going to really hit Apple hard whenever this comes out.
Tom, you would never think that a car manufacturer would get into the phone business. But if anyone were to do it, it would be Elon Musk.
Yeah, definitely. And, Apple recently came out and they're trying to get into the electric car business. I'm really curious if Elon's maybe kind of going to war with some of these companies, kind of saying, hey, if you get into this, I'll get into your business and I'll definitely hurt you more than you're going to hurt me probably. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens, but kind of cool to see this going on. It's almost like a little bit of little bit of like a cold war between these companies.
Who would have thought that Tesla would be getting into phones and Apple would be getting into cars? Like that's hilarious to me. But I guess we'll see. I guess we'll hear more about this potential Tesla phone over the next couple months. But back to some of these comments. We have Iranical saying SOFI is up 20% in 2 days. Do you think it will go up more? I'm kind of split on this one, to be honest. Like, I really, really like the level it's at. Looking at some of their fundamentals, it kind of turns me off, though. So I am split on this one. Like, I really, really like the chart we're seeing, but the fundamentals aren't the best in my opinion. But then again, though, Tom, with the big, I guess you can say, clearance they got earlier this week, that should help their fundamentals. So, like, it's not bad.
Yeah, that's actually a really big news that they finally, what was it? They finally became a bank in a way, right? I know they got their bank charter finally.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's great to see. I know before that was probably a lot of expense and operating cost, to have to work with these other banks and kind of make deals with them to use their stuff. So that's great to see that they're finally getting to be themselves. They're up 9%, almost 10% today. Awesome breakout here. They're up above $15. Honestly, that breakout this morning, up above that high of you could say Wednesday's pre-market high there. I think that was a great breakout of like 1465. We had a pretty good move, and that would have been a really good intraday play, honestly, to play that one right above that. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll continue here for the next few days or not, but I'm loving the movement over the past couple.
Yeah. Like, I think it's decent for like a small position. Obviously, it's not like a complete A-plus setup, but I feel like with everything, it has potential. And I feel like if you want to play it, now's probably the time. It's at $15. Again, it's not a safe play by any means, but like, let's say we get like a call debit spread that, I don't know, like let's say we got like maybe we bought like the 17 strike calls. Do they even have those? Let me go out. Let me take a look at the expiration. So like, yeah, let's say we bought like the $17.50 calls, and then we just held those for, I don't know, maybe like a couple of weeks or a couple of months. That could be decent. But again, IV's a little high, so maybe we do like a call debit spread. So I don't know. It's definitely a potential play, but I'll have it on my radar.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's been running up a lot. If we start to see some pretty big breakouts on the daily chart, like up above this huge resistance around $16, you could maybe say 16.50. I'll definitely be watching it more even. It's been having some explosive movement, and I will say, Mike, this one's been pretty popular. Like while a lot of stocks are at some good setups right now, I will say SoFi has been a little bit more popular, I will say, than most of them I've seen.
Awesome. All right, Tom, we have George saying crypto is strong today, too. We haven't looked at crypto in a little bit, so I'm actually very curious to take a look at some of this Bitcoin and Ethereum movement. So I'll give you a second to pull that up. But yeah, it seems like all the assets that have been beaten down over the past couple months have been at least having a decent day so far today.
Yeah, they really have. And actually, look at Bitcoin. It's kind of bouncing right around the 40K support. That's actually going to be a pretty big level for it, I think. Yeah, 40Ks, we've actually gotten lots of bounces off of that. So honestly, it's looking pretty good. Look at this, Mike. The algo says it's likely to rise. Not looking bad, I will say. I'm kind of liking the breakout here myself. I could see this one at least coming up over the next day, maybe up towards like 44,500, maybe 45K safely. But I'm really going to look for like a nice move up towards 48,000. That'll be the next major resistance I'm looking for.
I'll take it. How's Ethereum looking?
Ethereum, ETH, USD. Honestly, it's looking just as good to me today, at least. It's up quite a bit. Let's see, we're up 5.2%, having a good recovery with these growth stocks. So I'm glad to see it. It's almost like that Bitcoin is moving like the growth plays, almost like a PayPal or like a Square almost. I will say I like the setup on Bitcoin, and I think it'll be a pretty good pickup down here, and Ethereum both. Honestly, my main thing, Mike, is like I've been telling people, of course, Bitcoin's fallen a lot in the past. Like it had a bad drop from 20,000 down to 4,000 and stuff like that. And the main thing I've seen, Mike, is all these institutions, I've seen banks starting to buy it. I think that it's getting a pretty good backing now. So I think it'll start to be a pretty good pickup on some of these dips.
Sounds good. Awesome stuff there. And I'm just looking through a couple of these other plays in the stock market. And I will say one that's really catching my attention, Tom, is Palantir. It's up almost 6%. And intraday, it's looking pretty good. Like, Tom, it's been months since we've seen movement like this out of Palantir.
Yeah, it really has. And they just broke out above this awesome resistance, or yeah, I should say resistance at 1525. It's having some great movement. Like you said, it's been a long time since we've seen movement like this. We can see on the 1 year daily, it just hasn't really went anywhere. So we really need a good recovery on this one. I can't wait to say Palantir's back up towards like $18 to $20. Once we get back to there, I'll be really happy, especially with how low it is now. Like, man, with the IV up like this, man, it's almost like shorting puts would be like free money down here, you'd think, around $15.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, it's not free money, but I definitely know what you're saying. It's like the risk reward ratio is insane. It's like even if you get assigned shares, it's like you're getting shares at like the lowest price in a long time. So it's definitely a great setup in that sense. Then we have Mike asking about Disney, and he said, "Is Disney one of Pelosi's stock picks?" And yes, it is, and that's great to see actually. Even though Disney's been okay over like the past couple of months, it's a great company and it's at a really good level. I really like Disney, and what's good about Disney is like obviously when we look at companies like Palantir or AI or even DraftKings, like those companies are like in early growth stages where Disney is growing, but it's also already pretty established, so it will like hold its ground a little bit better. And in some senses, it kind of acts as like a value play and a growth play. So it's a pretty solid setup overall, and it's definitely good to see Pelosi in it.
Yeah, I think that's a really strong thing to see her in there. And Mike, I actually just looked up Pelosi's positions, and guess what I saw on the internet, I should say. Business Insider puts out that Trump actually said yesterday that Pelosi should not be able to trade stocks, and then he called for a Congress-wide ban on, I guess, stock trading. And then actually Pelosi joined another congressman and came out and said that they should be able to trade stocks. So it's kind of funny to see them kind of going to war over this. You know, I know that a lot of people in Congress, like Elizabeth Warren, for example, have been really hitting some people hard over trading stocks, like Jerome Powell. You know, she said some pretty nasty stuff about good old Jay Powell. And then, you know, we have Pelosi out here making these $1 million moves. Like, it's pretty crazy to see how all these guys are trading these stocks. And it's always reassuring to see that people in government are in your positions. You know, that's always a strong thing. And it should give you a lot of confidence with Disney and with some of these other ones like Roblox going forward.
True that. Alrighty, so looking at the next comment, we have George saying PayPal is trying to get back above $180, holding on for dear life. So let's see. Yeah, it's just under that. It's at like 179 right now. It's kind of bouncing, Tom. Like it's looking pretty decent, and it's crazy to think like just a couple months ago, this stock was at $310.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's pretty crazy to think that this stock can almost double back up to 310 over the next couple of years. I mean, that's pretty crazy to see how quickly this one dropped. Like we said, you know, these stocks take the staircase up and the elevator down. Yeah, I'm really glad to see them turning around too. PayPal and Square are some of my favorite ones back to the upside, Mike. Square's up 4% today, and I really like both companies. I know PayPal is a little bit different than Square. You know, Square's been getting a lot more into the crypto markets and stuff, so Square might be a little bit better for growth, but I feel like PayPal's a little bit more established.
Gotcha. Alrighty, so we basically covered all of the biggest movers so far today. Tom, do you have like any setups that either I missed or like maybe like you really like or anything notable?
You know, I don't really like this setup too much, but I will say AMC is having a pretty good day. Back to the upside, it's up 8%. It honestly moved back above the highs of yesterday, and we're almost back to Friday's levels at this point. I know it's been a short week, so we didn't have any trading on Monday, but yeah, we're getting right back up towards that $20 resistance. looks like intraday we actually hit right around 20 and we have a pretty big move back to the downside. So I don't know. We'll have to see how this one goes, but we haven't talked about it yet today. It's up 8%. It's having a good day. I wouldn't recommend playing this one, but I know a lot of people just can't help themselves with it. So I wanted to show it. It is hitting this $20 resistance. Maybe if you see it break the high of day, it could be pretty good, but just keep in mind it's already up 8%. So it might not be able to run up too much more, but I just could not go without mentioning it. It's honestly at like almost the top of my watch list, just under RUN, which we've honestly hit on a lot. RUN's been looking great today.
Sounds good. Yeah, it has been. So I basically, I think we got basically everything, Tom. Do you have like any other closing words before we wrap up the stream?
Yeah, I mean, thank you guys for the birthday wishes. I really appreciate it. Everyone in the chat and everybody who's watching the stream, I really appreciate it. Don't forget to also check out the new dashboard. We've been or I should say Mike and Hunter have really been working on this dashboard for a long time. It's a really awesome thing to see. I love using it for fundamentals, guys. I really love comparing the two stocks on here. Honestly, like we could go ahead and compare some right now. Like let's compare Apple and then let's compare let's just compare Apple to or let's compare Apple and Tesla. That might be fun considering they're kind of getting into, kind of hitting back at each other lately with their phones and everything. And wow, you can actually see they're actually pretty close, actually a lot closer than I thought to see with percentage change over the past year. But wow, I mean, I just love using this dashboard, Mike. It's really cool. Obviously, my favorite thing is comparing the two stocks, but I really love seeing all the fundamentals and everything. Just don't forget to check it out, guys. It's a one-time payment, which is awesome. So you won't get charged every month. It'll just be a one-time thing, and then you can use it as much as you want. And then also, if it ever gets updated, you'll be included in that. So yeah, go ahead and check it out. It's just awesome for the longer term, and especially if you guys are looking to buy some of these companies right now for the long term, it's really useful. Like you can go ahead and check out PayPal compared to Square, for example, and check out their fundamentals.
Best of all, we're cheaper than like 99% of our competitors, and we have some huge updates in the works already. So we're adding a ton of great things. All upgrades are going to be free, so that's awesome. The link for the dashboard is just in the description. But besides that, thank you guys so much for joining, and we hope you have an amazing rest of your day.